It means that Israel is no longer just targeting the Palestinian people engaged in a war of extermination against the Palestinian people. They are now after international order, literally. Bombing UN shelter schools all over Gaza. This morning, just a few hours ago, they bombed another UN shelter, bombing the UNIFIL forces in the south of Lebanon, and now designating the biggest UN humanitarian agency, that is UNRWA, as a terrorist organization and banning it from doing its own duties. They have declared war on our international system.
Now, in a way, this is not surprising because they've been at war with UNRWA for a long time. They accuse, as you know, Israelis, UNRWA personnel of being involved in the October the 7th massacres and being very, very intertwined with Hamas for a long time. How would you respond?
Unfounded, and go back to the UN reports following these allegations, completely false allegations by Israel. And even if there are some individuals, for the sake of the argument, who did things that are not unacceptable, you don't go and collectively punish a UN organization and the 30,000 employees of the organization and the millions of people who benefit from this organization. It's a lifeline. It's a lifeline for the people in Gaza. UNRWA service the majority of people in Gaza in terms of health, education. I was educated by UNRWA. I was born in a refugee camp. So does UNRWA in the West Bank and in the region, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan. This is literally a lifeblood for the Palestinian people and for the issue of refugees to be resolved in accordance with international law. And here is the conversation why Israel is doing that, why Israel is on an onslaught.
And is it really about trying to undermine the right to return, thinking that if you remove UNRWA from the situation completely, Palestinians will lose any sense that they have a right to return to the land they were on?
This is the very nonsensical idea that Israel has been saying for years now, that UNRWA perpetuates the right of return for Palestinian refugees because UNRWA service the ancestors, the sons and the daughters of the refugees, and if you link it to their own ideology, which says that 2,000 years ago they were here, our ancestors, and then we, the sons, and have to come back to our land. And then people who lost their homes and farms by the use of force only a few decades ago are not even able or have the right to be serviced by the international community. So this is an ideological debate where Israel thinks the collapse of UNRWA would end the right of return. This is nonsense. The right of return is a birthright. It's inalienable. It's enshrined in international law. It has nothing to do with UNRWA. UNRWA is there to service the Palestinian refugees in their exile until their right of return is being fulfilled. But if Israel is going to do this for UNRWA, guess what? They're going to do this for every and each international organization because they have a problem with international organizations that protect our children or provide for our children. So maybe Save the Children is next. They have a problem with the health organizations like the WHO. So maybe WHO is going to be next. This is a mindset that considers international law, international legality, international institutions to be the enemy of Israel. It is not the enemy of Israel. These institutions are actually the enemy of illegality. And that's why UNRWA is at the brunt.
Now, Keir Starmer says he is gravely concerned about this. The Belgians are gravely concerned. The Germans are gravely concerned. The Americans are gravely concerned. And yet none of this seems to touch Prime Minister Netanyahu or the Israeli government at all. They've heard gravely concerned many, many times before, and they'll hear it again. It's as if this is having no impact at all on Israel. International views.
Because Israel has grown accustomed to listening, hearing statements without action. The moment Netanyahu gets it that there will be consequences, he will start listening. And consequences are very well known. If a member state of the international system goes and designates a whole organization as a terrorist organization, prevented from operating, and by the way, UNRWA operates in the land of the occupied state of Palestine, and the state of Palestine that is recognized by the UN, recognized by the majority of the world, gives UNRWA the right to operate. So Israel, it has no right to prevent you.
But it can stop UNRWA getting in, that's the point.
Occupying force, and according to the International Court of Justice, that occupation is unlawful. But this is a business that has gone for a long time. Western leaders, including London, say words without action, and the action is very well known. If a state member is targeting the UN, and it's not just UNRWA. I mean, they have declared the Secretary General of the United Nations, Guterres, as persona non grata. So they are targeting the entire lot, the whole system, of the
And from their point of view, none of this really matters.
They have, and by blocking UNRWA, by doing what they did yesterday in the Israeli Knesset, they have literally violated the UN Charter. And therefore, what actions should the international community? We call on the UK government, on Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, and the Foreign Secretary to lead international efforts to make sure that member states abide by the UN Charter and abide by their own obligations. If they don't, then we know what to do. And many other states have been at the receiving end of this. Your membership has to be revisited, your obligation has to be ensured, and sanctions has to be but the problem is, when it comes to Israel, Western governments just throw their hands in the air and they become inactive.